Hey guys, today is Thursday, May 18th, 2017, and this is going to be kind of a weird Just Casual vlog, a little different from all the other ones. I'm going to be talking about one trick, being a one trick, and what that means, and I mean that's the premise of the podcast that I'm putting out, which was, I believe, the last episode, and I'm going to be playing off the idea on the thing I tweeted about today, and that is, and I'm stalling because I cannot remember what it's called because it was a really nice rhyme. Oh, no time but still want to climb. And okay, my plan with that, I tweeted out that I'm like, hey, would people be interested? Okay, actually I hate when people tweet that out, and I'm doing that because why ask, just do it. But I guess I do that to kind of generate hype, and maybe people were like, oh, that sounds like a great idea, I'm gonna look for that. Anyway, so I tweeted out, I have this idea basically to use this time that I'm using in the car, because this is a video journal for kind of me, but at the same time I want to build my brand and I want to give value to people, because I'm building up this story and documenting like my journey, which is very useful like 3 years from now. If I've like made it somewhere and people want to look back, this is suddenly useful, and I can repurpose this content and make it into a podcast, or make it into a one video, or like a 5-part series video of just like how I've made it, right? But anyway, so that's a future investment, but at the same time I want to provide something now. And I'm like, oh, I love Twitter. Twitter is great. Twitter is where I need to and want to be when it comes to like eSports and gaming and League of Legends. And I'm like, I'm not providing enough on my Twitter account, right? So I'm like, how do I do that? Because I used to tweet a lot when I wasn't so busy at work and like wasting time. Horrible. But now, like, I want to do well in my job. Things are busy. I'm like totally refocused and motivated differently. And I'm just busy, so I'm not wasting time on Twitter, right? So I'm like, I need to step up my Twitter game. I need to like put out content on there, useful things, be funny, or just do something that makes it worth following me. And I appreciate for all the people that have been following me on Twitter, by the way, at JustCasual9 if you're not already, but I'm sure most of you are coming from Twitter to the my YouTube channel. But anyways, and I was like, oh, no time but still want to climb. I'm like, that's a clever rhyme. And I'm like, oh, I can record that in the car. So what I want to do is I want to record that on Periscope, because after I record that on Periscope, because Twitter and Periscope are, Twitter bought Periscope or something like that. I'm not exactly sure the details, I don't remember. But with that, it just uploads, I can upload that straight to Twitter. It's part of the Twitter thing. I haven't looked into really is Periscope worth doing, but you know what, it doesn't matter if it's worth doing. I'll do it and see what happens, and I'll do some research here and there, but that is useful and easily uploadable compared to YouTube, so maybe that'll be worth it. So I just explained that. Maybe I should be explaining this instead of doing it, but this is kind of like my first try. Maybe I'll re-record this on Periscope maybe tomorrow after I go home and download it, so I can start doing that on my drive. Maybe I won't vlog as much. Maybe I still will vlog 5 days a week. I'm not exactly sure. We're playing this by ear. We're trying to be fast, micro speed, right? So anyway, today I want to talk about the first semi-episode of No Time But Still Want to Climb. I think I need a little better. It's not like symmetrical on that like semicolon or whatever in it. Anyways, I'm tangenting. Time to climb. If you're busy like me, where time is precious, but you still really want to make progress and climb playing League, like me, you have to play really efficiently, and you have to practice very efficiently, and it's tough, especially a lot of our listeners, people that are following me. You guys are married and or in college, where you may or may not have a lot of time, depending on what kind of college student you are. Time is really precious. If you have kids and are married, you don't get to play like 8 hours a day anymore. those are fun days. But, you know, at least for me and for, I'm guessing, the majority of you, that's just not the case anymore. So, if you don't have time, how can you still climb, right? One thing is minimize your champion pool. And one of those things would be becoming a one-trick pony. If you aren't familiar with the term one-trick pony, a one-trick pony is basically a person that plays one champion. They are a pony that can do one trick. So in this case, you are a player that only plays one champion, but you play it very, very well. Why is this important when you have no time or limited time? Well, there's 130, 140, I don't know how many champions are. There are a ton of champions, right? So, if you're trying to play every single champion once, let's say just starting from now, you want to familiarize yourself with every single champion, you have to play 135 games, right? And you have to be able to queue up different champions. You might not play them effectively, you might have had a really bad game where you didn't really get to see how that late game Vayne actually, like, what her strengths are, and you don't know, like, what you fall in love with and what you don't. You know, I was horrible at Zyra. On the podcast, I'm the one-trick Zyra player. I was horrible at Zyra until I finally found guides through Melon and stuff like that, and started playing her and practicing her a little more than 2 times, and suddenly I was like, I really enjoy playing her, and she's fun, and she fits my playstyle, and I play her well. It's hard to be able to do that and to be like, oh, I'm going to look through all these champions, spend all this time, and then buying all the runes that you have to for that specific champion, and there's just a lot of time involved with trying to play all the champions and figure things out. And hopefully you've played a lot of champions, you've seen a lot of champions, and you're familiar enough that this picking your one champion is easy. Is that actually the case? Right? If you've been playing since last month, no, it's not going to be easy. If you've been playing since Season 1 like me, a little easier. And I still haven't played every single champion, actually. There's plenty of champions that I haven't played, but I'm familiar with how they play. So, playing that one champion narrows things down, what you have to focus on, what you have to know. You can concentrate and read guides and watch YouTube videos, watch that one streamer that plays that champion. You can spend all your out-of-game time focusing on one champion. Now, let's say if you needed to spend, again, this is just an arbitrary number I'm putting out there because I don't have time for 5 hours. I don't make enough time, or I use different, I don't have 5 hours a week to read up and learn about Zyra anymore. Now, or I don't have 5 hours outside of the game to learn about the game. But if I'm focusing on Zyra, I can find 30 minutes a week. Absolutely can find 30 minutes a week. I can find 1 hour watching a stream of that one player or watching highlights of that one streamer that plays Zyra. Like, that is so much more manageable. And then when you think about how to become efficient with that champion, you need to put, like, that's, again, arbitrary number. I need to put in 10 hours to learn how to play Zyra well, just out of game knowledge. You know how to build her, what her kit does, all the details of her kit, what the best builds are, what the best runes are, when patch changes, how that affects her. Now, if you're playing 5 champions or 3 champions, that suddenly gets a lot harder because that means that you have to spend 15 hours, or not 15, I said 10 hours, 30 hours to learn how to play 3 champions, right? Out of game. And when you come in game, you have to get lucky enough to queue up with the role that you want, or you're playing with buddies that like let you play what you want, and it just adds a lot more time into the whole process of being very proficient with the champion or your champion pool. Think about matchups now. You have, oh my gosh, one champion, let's say there's 100 champions on the game. That means potentially, and let's split them out where I'm playing Zyra, let's just say mid, right? So in the mid lane, what happens? You have maybe, let's say a fifth of the champion pool goes mid lane, right? So you're 1, and a fifth of 100 is 20. So that means there are 20 different matchups that you would most likely run into, right? Now if you're playing 3 champions in the mid lane, you're playing Zyra, Lux, and Lissandra. Suddenly, you have 20 matchups you need to learn with Zyra, 20 matchups you need to learn with Lux, and 20 matchups you need to learn with Lissandra. Again, rough numbers. I know this is not exactly, I'm not using the right details, but I want you to get the idea. Suddenly, you need to learn 60 different matchups on how to play the game 60 different ways in lane, right? And then team fights change, you know? And then think about your team comp. You know, as Zyra, what does it mean when everyone else has damage on my team? What does it mean when everyone else is a tank on the enemy team? What does it mean when I'm 0 and 6 out of lane phase? What does it mean when I'm 6 and 0 in the lane phase? And how does that change things? All of this is important, and all this, understanding all these kind of things helps you do better and increase your likelihood that you'll perform better and win more games. Now, doing that with one champion, difficult. Doing that with 3 champions, doing that with 10 champions, even more difficult. That's why you pick one champion. Ideally, yes, if you have time, you want to be learning like 3 champions in each role, or 3 champions in a role, and then like maybe 2 other champions on your secondary role, you know. But again, we're talking about time is precious, and you still want to climb. If you want to have fun, totally different story. Do whatever you want. But if you want to climb, this is how you do it. One tricking is very important in that. And again, it could be 2 champions. Maybe you get super bored of it, right? If you get super bored of playing that one champion, go play normal and play Lee Sin and keep losing games or whatever. But then when you're in ranked, every game counts, when you're trying to perform, pick that one champion, right? And if you're in low elo, you're worried about, oh, you know, Zyra gets countered by MF. So if they pick MF support, which I don't know why they would, and you're playing Zyra support, you're like, oh, I don't want to pick Zyra into that because I'm going to lose. No. Doesn't matter. Do you know why it doesn't matter? Because your enemy player, enemy opponent, who is also in bronze with you, they don't know why MF support is really good against Zyra. They don't know how to play that. And we're talking about pro players that are using MF support successfully against Zyra support. That means they're playing MF support at like a 95% proficiency. And the pro players are playing Zyra at a 95% efficiency. So that's when kits and small details like numbers, scaling, itemization, runes, that's when it matters when it comes to counters and tough matchups. When you're in bronze, where you're playing at a 25% efficiency, effectiveness, and they're playing at a 25% effectiveness, oh, there's so much missing in there that you can overcome counters. Even like really, really hard counters. I have beat Teemo in lane playing a Nasus, and Teemo is like the hardest counter to Nasus. One of them, right? Because my opponent was bad enough. I knew, and I was flexible because I played like AP Nasus instead. So therefore, like I won that matchup. So worrying about that as a one trick, like, oh, you know, you get countered. Don't worry about that. Worry about that in gold. Even in gold, like, Like, I think it's really, really crucial in plat. I think you can overcome counters all the way up to plat and diamond. I think that's true. If you're good enough, right? And if you know that champion well enough. So, that's what I think is super important about one tricking. Why you should do it. How you should do it, I think you need to look for good resources. Again, the reason why I picked up Zyra was because she was strong, and I saw a ton of people playing Zyra, or I saw this one streamer playing a ton of Zyra and putting out really, really good content, like really detailed and, yeah, really detailed stuff. So it made learning Zyra super, super easy for me. And that even expedited the process of learning Zyra, right? If I didn't, I'd have to watch streams and kind of figure things out myself, or find like YouTubers that kind of talked about little things, and I would have to look at like 20 different videos to find out everything I needed about Zyra, versus finding Melon and watching his 3 videos and reading his 1 guide. Taught me everything I needed to know about Zyra, like straight up. So find a good resource, and that's not always easy. There might not be the great resource like that for your champion. Maybe that's something to consider, right? Another thing I want to talk about when it comes to one tricking is forget. Damn it. Give me a second. One tricking. What is something else I want to talk about one tricking? I can't remember. So anyway, I think that'll be this episode. The traffic was pretty backed up, so this ended up being a lot longer than I wanted it to. But maybe Periscope will be more fun. Only thing about Periscope that kind of sucks about it is that you will be. It's for interaction. I do a live show and you guys like type stuff in. Yeah, I'm not gonna read your chat while I'm driving. That is a bit too much. Nope. That's way too dangerous. And the one time I did try periscoping while driving, I couldn't read the chat anyway because it's like I have to get all into my phone to look at it. No, not gonna happen. Nope. So, good luck one tricking. Hopefully that helps you, and that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this future podcast. So you will have a resource, hopefully a one-stop shop. That would be awesome. You'll have a resource to get really, really good at that one champion that you're deciding to learn. Good luck, guys.